Hey Matt, how are you?
Nicholas, how are you today?
Fantastic. Happy Friday.
Yes, yes, yes. Happy for the weekend.
So, have you seen my newsletter today?
I did. Read it first thing this morning.
Oh, awesome. Have you seen the story about have you seen did you get why I put a cat on it?
No, I didn't get it.
You didn't get the joke?
I
Okay.
didn't.
Okay. Well, I'm sure I don't know if you saw, but this week there was a news about a cat being shipped into a package, and that cat ended up being found 7 or 8 days later in an Amazon warehouse in the box, and so I just thought that was so funny to think about that.
Oh my goodness. Nicholas, do you have a cat?
I do, I do. Her name is Maya.
Maya?
I try to box it into a box because you always like if you have a box open, the cat is on it. So
Yeah.
I was telling my kid that we should ship the cat too, and they were mad.
Funny.
All right, why don't we start today?
All
There you
right.
go. Let's do this. Uh, Hello, everyone. This is Nico with eStreamly, the company that help you get streaming across multiple websites, social media, SMS, email, and make that whole experience shoppable. I am so excited to be here, and my special guest, friend, co-host, everything, Matt from E6 Marketing, the company that gets you on QVC and HSN. How are you, Matt? It's been a great
Nicholas,
day, great week, right?
I'm doing great. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about today. So I'm excited to get going with our podcast.
Absolutely.
So
Why
this
don't you tell us about the show?
Yeah, yeah, Nicholas. So this, as you know, this. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is called the Vcommerce Show. The Vcommerce Show is a live chat pod discussing today's big topics related to video commerce. Video commerce is the storytelling platform that we both work in. That was created over 50 years ago with TV infomercials, graduated to HSN and QVC, and has evolved into engaging direct response commerce through your TV, computer, tablets, and phones. So we normally touch on the 4 hot topics of the week. Hopefully you'll learn something, have a little fun with us, and continue to tune in. So Nicholas, how are we going to get started with this show? There's so much to talk about this week.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we should get started by the most interesting news of the week, in my point of view. This is a Chinese person that got sent to jail and had a 400,000 fine for doing one thing very particular that is related to live stream. Do you know what it is?
I read your podcast. I read your newsletter, so I do know what it is. Crazy story.
Crazy story. So, for the one I haven't had the chance to read the newsletter, that person got 4,600 phone connected through a cloud, and doing a bunch of things, and he got jailed because you know what? He was actually offering the service to anyone who is doing live stream in China to actually inflate their view and engagement account. So imagine you're doing a live stream, you want to pop up and you want to show that you have a lot of people. You could pay this guy, and now all of a sudden you've got maybe 1,000 to 2,002 additional views, and so he got jail for that. That I think it's crazy. It does say something about the state of live streaming in this country. I just found it fascinating.
Amazing. I mean, we talk about artificial intelligence and all the things happening with tech, and this guy lines up 4,600 phones. Like insane. It's insane to me.
Absolutely, I thought it's so hilarious, honestly. But yeah, it it's interesting, right? Because if that is fraud, right, it is interesting that people are thinking it this way. Honestly, like this is just inflating views, but they're considering it fraud. It does really show, I think, the seriousness of how and the importance of how what live stream can do and move the needle in China.
Well, and that's what we talk about every week. So obviously, China is kind of the birthplace of that dynamic with that kind of thing. But the story is just out of this world. It's just kind of crazy.
Absolutely. So what's the next one for you?
Yeah. So speaking of TikTok, we mentioned TikTok. So the story I read this morning, TikTok reported more than 500,000 merchants worked through TikTok Shop at the end of 2023. 500,000. It didn't launch until like September or October.
Yeah.
Definitely the fall. 500,000 merchants, not viewers or shoppers. 500,000 merchants. So that blew me away. TikTok's e-commerce platform had more than 15 million sellers in December alone, adding more than 6 million in the second half of the year. I think it's insane. I mean, it's crazy how popular it is become, how many companies are working through it. And I was talking to a few people and a couple different podcasts that I listened to. It's now completely mainstream, not just TikTok Shop, but live commerce, video commerce. It's all mainstream, and you have to be involved. If you're a merchant, you're a consumer, you have to either be a part of it or shop through it in this day and age.
Yeah, 500,000. Honestly, obviously they had launched the TikTok Shop for some time. It was just not like officially launched and released and public and all that, but it is a pretty astonishing number. I wonder, like, considering their other business that they have across the world and all that, like if they made it super simple to transition from one, like maybe TikTok doing in China, and then being a merchant US or some topic, it's like just seems like
yeah, like that 500,000 is in the U.S. alone.
Yeah,
500,000 U.S. alone since the fall that have merchants that have been on TikTok. 15 million sellers worldwide were added in December, adding more than 6 million in the second half of the year. So I want to get that stat right. So worldwide, TikTok e-commerce platform had more than 15 million sellers in December.
Crazy.
December alone, adding more than 6 million in the second half of the year. 500,000 merchants in the U.S. alone. So it's a platform that's blowing up. We've talked about this federal government and the regulations and all that kind of conversation, and that was in the headlines this week too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the headline was that obviously the government was continuing pushing fast forward about shutting it down. On the other side, TikTok filed a motion with the Supreme Court, if I'm correct, if I did that here that right, about First Amendment rights being violated, right? And what I found interesting in this whole story, and that's something that you and I we talked about before, right, is this is a very polarizing debate. First of all, what we end up finding is that no one is talking about the aid that was sent to Ukraine and Israel, the countries that are in war right now. The whole headline is about TikTok. We don't talk about the billions that have been printed, and everyone talks about that. But the second thing that I found interesting is that Guter and Ipsos made a poll recently about to the U.S. public opinion, and 46% think that China's government used the platform to spy as a spy tool. But then guess what? 46% say that a ban will infringe their the free speech right. So it's a very polarizing debate, and we are already in a very polarized country in terms of opinions and stuff. And this is just more oil to the fire in some way.
Yeah, it touches a lot of buttons for people, and we talked about, and this is not a political podcast at all, but just YouTube is based around young people, and the young people, the government and the elections they're concentrating on that person. Yeah. That 18, once you be able 18 to 24-year-old is an important voting dynamic. So you can't polarize them, you can't shut them out. You'll be blown away. I mean, Twitter and all social media platforms are used now on the political landscape. So this whole TikTok conversation, we were both surprised that it elevated itself so quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And got to the house. And Now they have to, come November, as we're leading into November, they're going to have to talk about it and,
Yeah.
and have an opinion about what should be done with it. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is crazy. So let's stop about talking politics for a second and go back to YouTube. Actually, well, I found this article that was talking about the new AI feature for YouTube Premium subscribers. So not for everyone, just the premium subscribers. It's a jump ahead button that will help you skip out every parts of the long form video that is the least watched. So think of it as, like maybe you, if it's an hour video or whatever, and then there are parts maybe you think are boring, and then you just skipping that whole part. So my question to you is that is long form becoming the new short form as it relates with the AI support? But more interestingly, it does show the fact, I think two important facts. One, people really keep moving toward like seeing a clip, and that came back to this what Walmart was saying, instead of like a long form, they created 23 short form because people are watching the clips, they're not watching long form anymore. So it reinforced that idea. But then he also says like it does say something about the way we consume content, right? We just want a short form, and like it's very consumerism. I mean, I don't know. I think when you, as a creator, when you're creating a piece, you may want to you may want your audience to watch the whole thing, but then it sounds like not everyone agree with that. So I don't know. I just found this whole dynamic very interesting. And what does he say for the content creation? But also, it does say that maybe you need to get your audience entertained, and at the same time, I don't know. What is your thought on that?
Well, I'll tell you. I'll give you a personal example. One of the most viewed or listened to podcasts in the country is Smartless. Three male actors, and they're comedians. They're not straight up comedians, but they're famous actors. One of the most viewed and listened to podcasts in the country. They just celebrated their 200th episode by interviewing Steve Martin and Martin Short, who are two like legendary Hollywood people. I listened to the entire podcast, but it took me a week to go through almost 2 hours of the podcast. So I listened to a lot of the podcasts on the move and in the car, and I could not sit for 2 hours and listen to that podcast. It was a great interview, and you're talking about five basically comedians, like laughing out loud. It was a great interview. I'm not going to listen and sit for 2 hours to that podcast. However, on the contrary, I listen to two podcasts a day that are both news oriented, daily news oriented podcasts that don't go more than like 12 minutes. And that is something I listen to daily. So the short form for me is a much better dynamic. Yeah. And we've talked about this on the podcast from the video commerce point of view. You have to value your audience's time. Time, you can't get time back. So when we're talking about e-commerce, and people selling products or talking about products for 40 minutes, 50 minutes, an hour at a time, I know you're getting more engagement and the dollars are going up. But in my world, the dollar per minute, which is kind of the key on how effective you're being, it goes down. It diminishes if you're talking about a single product for an extended period of time. So the whole YouTube dynamic, I still fast forward. If I see a video that I'm watching, I literally click
you do?
it and then push it like old school, like VHS, type of thing. I do it on my computer. Like I push and fast forward. Wow. So this means nothing to me, this whole new premium dynamic. But it's just an example to me of like valuing who's watching.
I don't know. I honestly feel it's a violation. Honestly, like honestly, I will never fast forward a video that I have not watched first, because first I'm afraid of losing something that's interesting in that maybe boring part. But then second is I feel that the guy put the effort of creating that video. So either I quit watching the video altogether, or I just watch it. Like I don't do the fast forward on podcasts or anything. So maybe I'm old school in that. I don't know. It sounds
you'd rather be bored than fast forward it. What if there's something good in the end of it or later?
I don't know. I just feel that that person put some time and effort to create that. I mean, that person or that company, and I just found it to be, I don't know.
I think you're more
It's
patient
very
than the average. You're definitely more patient than the average
all right.
YouTube consumer.
So it's a great feature that just shocked me. Okay, I got it. All right. Well, what's the next
Kind of going
one?
along with the same kind of topics. I saw a story, and I'm into sports a little bit more than you are in the U.S. at least. And Netflix, the rumor is, I heard this morning that Netflix is considering, and I guess it's a done deal, although it's not formal. Netflix is going to stream 2 NFL games, National Football League games, on Christmas Day in 2024. So now this is the third streamer that's that is partnering with the NFL. In my opinion, the NFL is such a behemoth. They could do no wrong. Every sport wishes they could be created and built like the NFL in every way. It's just another example to me that everything is pushing towards streaming. Obviously Netflix is like the behemoth. They're probably like 40% of all streaming content goes through Netflix. So like everyone's chasing Netflix. But for Netflix to get involved in the NFL, which is a mainstream linear sport dynamic, it's been on linear TV since TV was created, practically. For them to get involved with the NFL, I think is just another example of how important streaming is in commerce and entertainment. It really struck me this morning.
Yeah, that's very interesting, and obviously, I'm not a big sport fan as you are. So, but I could see a play where like I mean the revenue for those sport leagues are really important, right? When you think about advertisement and everything, and if people are not watching cable, and that's what they have to evolve and move to different places, and if there's money to be made, that they should do it, right? So
Yeah. I mean, if you don't already have Amazon Premium or Prime and have Amazon access, that you're in the minority. And if you don't already pay for Netflix, it seems you're in the minority. Now, you might not consume content every day, but these two things are just a part of Americana right now. And all this video commerce, the commerce element is just becoming mainstream.
What's interesting in this whole story, I mean, if you think about it, right? So we moved from cable that was dominated by, couple people, couple company. Then the YouTube came in, and then everyone could be a creator again, or creating content. And now we're moving to streaming, where all the streaming and the attention is geared toward those couple folks. And yet we have the fast channel, which seems to be like, okay, some of those creators that are on YouTube that still wants to grab the attention of those folks that are going to streaming, getting there through the fast channel. I just found this whole dynamic digital versus cable, or like I don't know how you will categorize that, but it sounds to me that it's like two different viewers in some way, and the viewer is evolving, and the people that are creating the content, because it's getting cheaper and more accessible, they also want to be piece of that cake. And so just big evolution.
I agree. I mean, fast, people are getting into fast because the basic cable channels are available through fast, but you're not paying the cable bill. And it's important. It's what do you call it? Destination television or non-destination television. You can flip around. It doesn't have to, you're not logging into Netflix or Amazon Prime or anything like that. You can flip around through fast like you do through cable. So there is a contrast with American sports. Like in many ways, I think American live television in general is keeping linear TV afloat. Live television, well, whether it's e-commerce or Vcommerce with QVC and HSN and what they do, or it's news, or it's sports or entertainment, live TV, there's an element there that still exists. But the NFL getting into Netflix, it just the pendulum is definitely swinging towards the streaming. And speaking of that, I wanted to, we normally do shout outs at the end of our show, but QVC Plus and HSN Plus, they have a streaming platform too. And the other night, they launched a new show called Busy This Week, Busy Phillips Talk Show. So Busy Phillips is an entertainer, actress that's been around for a while. She's very funny. She's a comedian. And she's doing this show that just launched this week, which I thought was very, very good. It was just her and her producer on the screen in the beginning. talking about their outfits and how to buy their outfits. So Vcommerce was definitely strung through it. They did a man on the street segment, and then she had like a really good interview with her co-host of a show that she's acting on currently. So she blended a lot of her personal dynamic into the show. She did a little quick man on the street, polling people about what they think about the 90s coming back. And in each of the segments, weaved in was Vcommerce. And I think there's something to learn from that. Yeah, Vcommerce or any kind of video streaming platform has to be entertaining. Number one, entertainment has to be the first dynamic. You don't want people to turn it off. And then streaming a commerce section into it, if you could entertain while talking and selling product, all the better. So, it can't be a boring dynamic of a talking head with any kind of demonstrations or anything else. And it can't be just, you're not going to make any money if you're just talking, like, traditional television. So I think this Busy Phillips show, I hope it catches wind. QVC and HSN has gotten into the streaming platform for the last couple of years, and they keep building upon it. It's interesting, and everyone should try to check it out.
Yeah, that is definitely an evolution, right? If you think about it, right? It's the entertainment is getting bigger and bigger within the shopability, the shopping element of the QVC world. It does say quite something. That's fascinating play for sure.
Yeah.
So I have a special shout out too, and I just want to share, the newsletter. If you're interested in seeing what we have to say about Vcommerce every week, you can tune in. I'm going to put that on the comment of this pod. This is you can find the newsletter, try.eastreamy.com/newsletter. It is go out every Friday. I haven't really counted how many of newsletter we have, but I'm pretty sure we are well over 100 so far in number of newsletters sent. We send every Friday. We try to have a meme inside. We have like the 4 top news that I found it relevant. Always a podcast, and sometimes we have a blog that or an article that I found quite insightful, and I'm adding there. It's a very light read, maybe 20, 30 minutes max. And so if you're interested, just sign up. It's free, and I just love doing that. Thanks everyone for being here. It's been a pleasure, Matt, to see you again, and we will see you again next Friday, right?
Yeah, a great conversation, and for all the moms out there, happy Mother's Day weekend.
Oh yeah, thank you, Matt.
Don't forget about Mother's Day this Sunday.
That's a great. Oh yeah, don't forget about Mother's Day. It's this weekend.
No. Happy Mother's Day.